and welcome to LTCC News. I'm Catherine Fiorillo with Brendan DeAngelis. We have a full show ahead today, starting with the tragic plane crash in the French Alps. Yesterday, commercial airline Germanwings Airbus A320 crashed into the French Alps in southeastern France. French Prime Minister Manuel Valls says that he fears none of the 142 passengers and 6 crew members may have survived the crash. The conditions of the crash, such as the speed of the plane and the mountainous terrain of the Alps, contribute to the fatalities. It is currently unknown what caused this reliable engine to fail.
School officials at Pine Bush High School in New York have apologized after the Pledge of Allegiance was said in Arabic during the school's morning announcements. Last week, the principal of the school apologized to any students who were offended by the act. The Huffington Post reported that complaints had come from residents who had lost family members in the war in Afghanistan, and that many students were angry and felt disrespected as a part of National Foreign Language Week. The school had arranged the pledge to be said in different languages. Going forward, school officials said that the pledge would only be read in English. According to the Department of Education, there is not state requirement to have the pledge said in English.
Last week, WABC anchor Lisa Calagrassi suffered from a ruptured brain aneurysm. She collapsed suddenly while on location of a 4-alarm fire. Unable to regain consciousness, Calagrassi passed at 49 years old. In her 14 years at WABC, she covered some of the most important stories in the tri-state area, like the crash of Flight 587 in the Rockaways and Hurricane Sandy. Calagrassi is survived by her husband, Todd, and 2 sons.
A woman is under arrest in Colorado, accused of stabbing a pregnant woman in the stomach and removing her unborn baby. Police say the 26-year-old expectant mother visited the suspect's home north of Denver on Wednesday to buy baby clothes advertised on Craigslist. Officers called to the scene found the victim stabbed and beaten.
The officer did an incredible job today. He got here with limited information, heard her calling for help, and he went in and found her and got her out of the house.
Police say the suspect was arrested when she took the baby to a hospital and claimed she had a miscarriage. Charges against her include first-degree murder. The victim is expected to recover.
Our next story is now the California drought crisis.
With more on that, here's LTCC's Rose Shannon.
Essential key to life, from drinking, getting ready in the morning, and using it to cook with. But with rising temperatures and a drought 4 years in the making, California is facing a major water crisis.
That a lot of the drinking water reservoirs are down to less than 50% of their holding capacity, and I just saw something on 60 Minutes the other night where they're projecting that they could be out of or starting to ration drinking water by the end of this coming summer. They did not get the snowpack this past winter that they should have gotten, so they only got about 13% of the snow that they normally get, and they rely on snowpack in the mountains and that slow melt in the spring to keep the rivers flowing during the warmer and drier months of the year, and to fill the reservoirs during the late winter and spring with water, which then they'll draw down on for the rest of the year. So things are in a fairly critical situation right now.
Rose Shannon, LTCC.
We have some pretty interesting things to get to after the break, including an update on the Robert Durst case and arrest. We'll be back on LTCC News.
Welcome back to LTCC News. Our top story now is with Taylor LaQualia with an update on the Robert Durst case and arrest. Taylor?
After nearly 15 years, Robert Durst, the son of a prominent New York real estate dynasty, has been arrested in connection with the murder of Susan Bierman. Durst is no stranger to legal authorities. His wife, Kathleen, disappeared in 1982 while the two were living in Westchester County. The case was never solved. 2 decades after, New York State Police reopened Kathleen's case as it was believed that Bierman, a longtime friend and confidant of Durst, had information regarding Kathleen's disappearance. She was found murdered in her Los Angeles home before her questioning ever took place. Durst's arrest occurred during the time of HBO's documentary, The Jinx, aired. The 6-part documentary unfolds the chronicles of Durst and the several accusations of murder against him. Durst's lawyers warned him not to take part in the film because up until this March, he walked as a free man. Suspicions were raised in the final chapter where Durst is heard mumbling, "What the hell did I do? I killed them all, of course." Durst is currently being held in custody in a New Orleans jail and has been denied bail.
I think we can all agree that in many cases, timing is everything. This couldn't be truer for 65-year-old Poughkeepsie resident Marilyn Bontempo, who suffered a massive stroke on February 18th. Lucky for her, Bontempo arrived at Vassar Brothers Medical Center just 1 day after the hospital introduced its newest stroke technology, which saved her life. This advancement allows doctors to view 3D X-ray images in real time to locate blood clots during surgery more easily. Using this device, Dr. Allison Nahara, head of the hospital's new division of neurointerventional surgery, was able to find and remove the clot in Bontempo's brain before it led to any permanent damage. Just 1 month after the surgery, Bontempo has made a full recovery. In an interview with the Poughkeepsie Journal, she stated, quote, "I'm fantastic. My stamina is back to normal." We now go to LTCC's John Fernero with a story on the Wappingers Falls redistricting plan.
This past Monday, the Wappingers School Board came to a decision regarding a proposition of over 1,400 signatures from the public to suspend the redistricting plan of their school district.
The board hereby rejects the proposed proposition on the grounds that the New York education law has empowered the board with the exclusive right and responsibility to assign what schools students will attend, and the Board of Education has already made this determination.
If the proposition was accepted, Wappingers voters would decide later on in the year whether or not to suspend the proposed plan from the school district. The redistricting plan will force 610 elementary students to new schools this upcoming fall, which made a number of parents upset as they lined up during the meeting to criticize the board.
You can. It's all going to be okay. You can put your egos aside and you still can change your mind. 1,500 signatures, man. 2 days. That's got to tell you something.
And for an update on Marist efforts to support breast cancer research, we go now to reporter Caitlin LaFaro.
In the fight against breast cancer, Marist College is miles ahead of the game. The Miles of Hope Foundation will be recognizing the Marist College community for their effort. Marist soccer, lacrosse, basketball, and the entire athletic department have helped raise funds and awareness for breast cancer by hosting events such as cancer-sponsored games. The Miles of Hope Breast Cancer Foundation is a nonprofit public charity that works to find support services for people affected by breast cancer within the Hudson Valley. For LT
We go now to Leanne for an update on the weather.
Thanks, Catherine. Well, it looks like spring is finally in the air here in Poughkeepsie. Today we will have a high of 54 degrees with a 70% chance of showers throughout the afternoon. We will have a light wind at 8 miles per hour from the south and a rather high humidity at 75%. Tonight the temperature will drop to about 39 degrees and with steady rainfall this evening. Sunset is set for 7:14 tonight. In upstate New York, the weather will remain in the 40s, and down in New York City, the high will be 54 as well. And looking ahead to our weekly forecast, we'll see a dip in the temperature this weekend. Saturday, as you can see, will be mostly cloudy with a high of 37 and a 30% chance of rain, and even some snow flurries. Then on Monday, there will be a high of 53 degrees, and next week we should see a few days in the mid-50s, so it may be time to finally put away those winter coats. Brendan and Catherine, back to you.
Thank you, Leanne. Stay tuned to LTCC News. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Suck.
Welcome back to LTCC News. Our top story now is the devastating story of the 7 Jewish siblings who tragically died in a house fire over the weekend in Brooklyn. 7 Jewish siblings who were killed in a devastating house fire over the weekend were laid to rest Monday after being flown to Israel for burial. Dozens of mourners, including Chief Rabbi of Israel, attended the emotional service, which was repeatedly interrupted by anguished cries.
God only gives testimonies that can handle it, and so many people prove that it's just, I cannot imagine it. It's just unfathomable. I know that, I had friends, obviously, over the years, people that have lost children, one child, and that pain itself is unimaginable. To lose 7 homes, the whole family, it's just, it's unspeakable, it's unfathomable.
The bodies of the Sassoon siblings were flown to Israel overnight from New York and were escorted to Jerusalem in a convoy escorted by police. Back in the Midwood neighborhood of Brooklyn, the fire has shattered the Orthodox Jewish community. Investigators believe it was caused when a heat plate left on for the Jewish Sabbath malfunctioned, setting off flames that incinerated the stairs of their home and trapped the children on the second-floor bedrooms as they slept. Firefighters found no working smoke detectors on the first or second floors, and by the time the mother awoke, she was unable to reach the children. Both the mother and a daughter, Gail, and 14-year-old Sephora Sassoon remain in critical condition.
A recent federal study shows the American woman makes 78 cents to every dollar the American man does. These findings project that in most states, the gender pay gap will not close until 2058. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger shared that although this study did not take into account gender bias, results did show that unmarried women are reported to have a much narrower pay gap. Schlesinger stated some factors contributing to this issue are women choosing lower salary professions and varied labor force participation. The report also found that other developed countries with narrower pay gaps have much better child care systems and better maternity leave policies in place in comparison to the U.S.
We now go to LTCC's Liz Nafee with a story on Republican Ted Cruz's 2016 presidential bid.
Senator Ted Cruz, the conservative from Texas, became the first Republican to announce his campaign for his potential seat in the White House.
Today, I am announcing that I'm running for President of the United States.
First of all, the exact timing, I think, was not accidental, that it was, the anniversary of signing of Obamacare.
Trace it back to his opposition to Obama's health care. But I think just more generally, he wants to get in early.
From camera 2, so have camera 2 lined up, because
For LTCC News, I'm Elizabeth Nafee.
And now we go to Stephen for your sports update. Stephen?
March Madness. Friends, family, and coworkers across the nation have scrambled to fill out this year's bracket. With 1 week in the books, it is not disappointed. The Midwest region immediately caught the eyes of many fans because of powerhouse Kentucky. The Wildcats have followed up an undefeated regular season by advancing to the Sweet 16, although they were played tough by Cincinnati last week. Now they're set to take on a West Virginia team that surprised many with the win over Maryland. Notre Dame has been doing really well. Led by Jerry and Grant, the Fighting Irish and their physical style of play earned themselves a matchup against a seasoned Wichita State squad, who coming off an upset versus Kansas. All games will be this weekend, with these two at the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland. The East region has been a haven for underdogs. NC State pulled off a major upset against top-seeded Villanova, winning a close contest by only 3 points. This sets them up for a showdown against Rick Pitino's Louisville squad. The Cardinals struggled for stretches of this regular season, but Pitino has been here before and currently has Montrezl Harrell, Terry Rozier and company playing great basketball. Now, speaking of teams with pedigree, Tom Izzo's Michigan State team overcame the odds to beat second-ranked University of Virginia and land themselves a matchup with the Oklahoma Sooners. Syracuse's Carrier Dome will play host to these 4 teams. Frank Kaminsky has led his Wisconsin Badgers team to easy wins over Coastal Carolina and Oregon. The Big Center now faces a Roy Williams-coached UNC team that seems to have found its stride just in time for the tournament. Xavier takes on Arizona after beating a Georgia State squad that took down third-seeded Baylor on a last-second 3. The Wildcats overcame D'Angelo Russell and Ohio State to earn their own ticket to the Sweet 16. This group of games will be at the Staples Center in downtown Los Angeles. The South region is headlined by Duke, who have advanced thanks to some powerful displays from Coach K's young Blue Devils. The top seed is set to take on Utah after they surprised many by taking out Georgetown, beating them by close to a dozen. UCLA beat SMU after a controversial goaltending call went their way in the closing seconds, and then stayed hot and pummeled UAB to advance and face Gonzaga. The Zags have been a solid team and are hoping to book their trip to the Elite Eight later this week at Energy Stadium in Houston. College basketball has been lucky enough to have some really exciting players this season. Though some have now been eliminated, the remaining 16 teams still have some top talent. Duke's Jahlil Okafor headlines this year's class and has lived up to the hype. The 7-foot center has anchored his team in the paint, averaging 18 points and 9 rebounds in an ACC Player of the Year campaign. Karl Anthony Towns is another young talent at the top of his game. Shining on a star-studded Kentucky team, the power forward was named the SEC Freshman of the Year after showing off some polished inside play and lockdown defense. His stat line of 10 points, 8 rebounds, and 2.5 blocks is a result of his versatility. Coming in with less hype than other players is Wisconsin's Frank Kaminsky. He's been a huge part of the Badgers earning a #1 seed. His maturity and court vision have been a huge part of his team's offense. 14 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game helped him to the Big Ten Player of the Year title.
Thank you, Stephen, for the update. We're going to take a short break, but when we return, Jackie Lopez will be leading a discussion about Greek life controversy.
Steve, fantastic.
Yeah,
dude.
seriously?
That was really, really good.
right, here we go, guys. Is my hair okay, Leanne? Looks great. I don't need to, well.
Welcome back to LTCC News. We now go to LTCC's Jackie Lopez with a closer look on local Greek life.
Brendan.
Jackie?
With all of the recent Greek life scandals making headlines. Are we good? Go now. With all of the recent Greek life scandals going on in the headlines, we are joined here today by Christos Petris, who is the former president of Zeta Psi, and Emily Labrano, who is the current president of Sigma Sigma Sigma. Welcome, and thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Let's get started. As a leader in your organizations, how do these current issues affect the reputation of Greek life as a whole?
Well, I think that it definitely is affecting us negatively, that sororities and fraternities nationwide are being scrutinized for things that necessarily have nothing to do with them, and it's just Greek life as a whole. We're kind of categorized into one, whereas we're not taken individually, each sorority and fraternity in different universities and colleges.
Yeah, unfortunately there's such a perception because it's something people don't understand when there's all these negative things with many other different types of organizations, but because fraternities their concept is being grouped together, fraternities as a whole are grouped together no matter what happens, which is unfortunate.
Is this negatively affecting Greek life at your school?
I think from a Marist College admissions standpoint, it definitely is. I think that admissions and the Greek Council is more hesitant to add sororities and fraternities onto the campus in just fear of what might happen, whereas they're not looking at what Greek organizations we already have and how great we're doing.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the way it's perceived, administration has all this stress on them for all these things happening nationwide, but you can do a million good things, but the second you do one bad thing, it's the end of the world. So.
Do you think that there are enough conversations going on about preventing assault and hazing throughout Greek life?
I don't think that there could be enough conversations, but I definitely think Marist College tries to ensure that there are conversations happening. I know Greek Council last semester did a sororities and fraternities against hazing, a hazing prevention walk, and that was great to see the statistics around campus and see what's going on. So we're definitely trying to make sure that the conversations are happening.
Yeah, and most fraternity headquarters and sorority headquarters are very, very strict on their policies with hazing. So in reality, it's people acting on their own. That is the problem.
Thank you guys for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jackie. When we come back, Starbucks ran a new diversity campaign which ended after only 2 days. Stay tuned to find out why.
Welcome back to LTCC News. Our top story now is the new Starbucks campaign, Race Together. This week, Starbucks customers across the U.S. got more than just lattes and iced coffee at the service counter. From March 16th to the 22nd, Starbucks CEO Howard Schultz enforced a nationwide racial equality campaign called Race Together. As a part of the campaign, baristas were asked to write #RaceTogether on all their customers' coffee cups. They were also encouraged to talk to customers about racial issues in America, a request that Poughkeepsie Starbucks barista Heather Rodkey was not comfortable with.
Many of them are regulars, so you're going to see them most of your shifts that you work. So it's just kind of a weird barrier to put up between you when you don't know them that well, and it's a personal topic for a lot of people.
Lucky for Rodkey, after heavy criticism and backlash from employees, Starbucks pulled the plug on the campaign on Sunday.
National Puppy Day was this past Monday, a day meant to encourage puppy adoption and truly a day to celebrate our dogs. Social media users around the world took to Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to post pictures and hashtag National Puppy Day. Among the most popular were Zac Efron and Channing Tatum posing with their puppies.
Teen heartthrob Zayn Malik decided yesterday to leave the band One Direction. Malik announced his decision to leave the group on the boys' band's official Facebook page. "My life was One Direction has been more than I could ever imagined, but after 5 years, I feel like it is now the right time for me to leave the band." A news source told E! News that Malik has not been happy lately, and a decision to quit was a long time coming. The 4 other members are sad to see Zayn go, but they will continue to speed the heart rate of many teen fans. In Boston, an abominable snowman known as the Boston Yeti has become popular by raising money for the Massachusetts Society for the Prevention of the Cruelty to Animals. This craze started after the Yeti gained a large social media following last winter by running around Boston in costume and helping out stranded drivers. The proceeds from the Yeti's newest escapees will benefit the MSPCA's Angel Animal Medical Center in Boston. When he was asked about this venture by the Associated Press, the Yeti said, "I can think of no better way to spend one's popularity than for the benefit of animals in need." The Yeti is selling stickers, bookmarks, and buttons to raise money for the fund.
Well, that's all the time we have for today.
I'm Brendan DeAngelis alongside Catherine Fiorello. Thank you for tuning in to LTCC News and have a great afternoon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.